Okay, so Divi just released their new design variable system. And basically, what this means is that we can take um, names and we can assign them values. So if we go here and we open up this new, modal that they added to the side, and one thing I wish they would do is they would make it like the layers. So you see how the layers kind of slides over. I wish that's kind of how the variable manager worked because I don't really like this. If we have a lot of values, we have to scroll every single time or we have to expand it. And I can imagine when I have to do that 200 times, it's just going to get really annoying. But anyways, we have new variables, and the easiest way to think about variables is you can kind of think of them as like a box. And this box is going to contain a certain subset of information. It can either be a number, it can be a piece of text, it can be an image, it can be a link, it can be a color, or it can be a font. And what happens is that when we set a value from our variables onto an element on the screen, we no longer have to size elements individually. Instead, we can style them globally from these set of classes. So I have my own set of classes here that I want to use. And right now it's just for text and for spacing. But what you can go ahead and do is you can get your own classes. So one thing you can do is you can go to Fluid Type Scale Calculator, and it'll give you some sizes, and then you can kind of edit them however you want. Or you can go to ChatGPT. You can copy this to clipboard, and you can ask it, "Hey, make clamp sizes for a different subset of classes." So you can do like spacing, you can do line height, etc., etc. But since I already did this before, there's just no reason for me to do it again. But anyways, let's just go in and let's see what I'm talking about. So let's say you're building a client a website, right? And you have some things. So you have a heading here. You have a heading here, and then you have some content here. So let's say you have some text, you have an image here, you have an image, and let's duplicate this 3 times. And at the bottom here, let's duplicate this top one more time. Let's bring it to the bottom. Cool. Now, what ends up happening with these websites is that you'll use certain values in one place. So let's hard code this in here. So let's say you do 48 here. You're like, oh, this looks good. And then later down, when you're designing the website, let's say you're like, I forgot what I used up here. So one way to do it is just to do it in increments of like 5. So 45, 50, etc., etc. But as you can already tell, I chose 45 here. And then here, I actually don't even remember what I chose. I chose 48, it seems like. But you could imagine when you have a website that has, even 5 pages, how are you going to manage all of that? It's just going to be really weird. You're not going to remember the naming, or you're not going to remember the numbers you used, and it's going to make a really inconsistent looking website. So now what you can do is that you can have these preset before you even build the website. And then now you can use these values instead of guessing what value you want to use. And this is also more, I guess, in a way dry. Like you don't repeat what you do when you don't repeat yourself. So instead of having to say 48, 48, 48, 48, you just name it something, and then now you can use it across your website. So that's a little Kevin Geary for you right there. So if you go in here and you go to this new little button that's next to the heading text size, you can click it, and it gives you all of the options. One thing that I wish they would do is maybe don't show the sizing under it. I don't know. It doesn't really look great. I know it's in beta state or alpha state, but this doesn't really look that great. But let's say since we're using a heading, we want it to be text 3XL. Cool. So now let's say later on in the website, you want to make another heading and you're like, okay, I know this heading is going to be the same size as this one. Well, instead of guessing, you can just go in here. Let's remove the value we guessed. And then now we can say text 3XL. And then now these two things, they match. So let's remove some content here from the middle. And if we go to our design variables, and we go to our numbers, and we open here, let's go to text 3XL. Now we can just change it from here. So this is a very specific clamp value that's going to scale on different devices, but let's ruin it real quick. Why not? So when we throw 20, you see that it changes on both ends without having to go in and basically guess what sizes we're using. It'll just do it for us. Another thing we can do that would probably be pretty helpful is, let's say we have a company slogan, and then we can say slogan goes here. Now we can use this text across our website as well. So this is actually something that I haven't tested out, but let's go ahead and do that. So if we say, let's see, is this how you would add it? So I'd imagine it's up here, insert dynamic content, and we have our company slogan right here. And then the company slogan is slogan goes here. So now another thing is you can use this for spacing. So let's go to module settings and you're like, this is too close, right? I want to spread this out a little bit. You can go here, you can go to spacing, and instead of guessing what margin and padding you're using, you would just do you just use your variables. So we want to use some margin for this. We could go here, insert dynamic content, and now we can do spacing. Let's say we want it to be medium. So we say spacing medium, took a little minute. And now we have that consistent spacing here without guessing what we want to do. Another thing we can do is we can do images. Oh, and let me show that when we change it. Slogan went here before. So now when we change slogan went here before, it'll obviously change it. And then we can copy it and we can use it here. And then we added margin here, but we did not add any margin there. So let's just save anyways, and let's continue. So we can also use images. So the same thing that works for text, it'll also work for images. So we can add global images. I would add that image here, and I would change these images from this spot right here. And this is going to make handing websites over to clients a lot better. So what happens is that clients don't understand sizing. They just go in and they just use a pixel. They're like, I can't really see this right here. So they go and then they just go 30. And they're like, oh yeah, I can see that. But what they don't realize is that that looks terrible. But to an untrained eye, it's like, okay, I can see it. I reached the goal. So boom, we're just going to move on. And as much as I don't like handing websites over to clients in the first place, it's just a reality sometimes that some clients don't really have the budget and you have to hand them over their website. So now you can train them to say, hey, don't guess what sizes you're going to use. Instead, there's a little button right here. And if you use this button, you can kind of just get an idea of what sizes you need to use. And of course, they're not going to know all of the nuances with the letter spacing or line height or anything like that, but it's going to make for a much better build in general. And in the coming updates, I'll probably try to find a solution to that as well. But right now, I think that's really moving in a great direction for elegant themes. And then finally, we have fonts. So what we can do with the font is that we can basically use these fonts and change these from here. One thing that I noticed is that the body font doesn't actually work. It's acting a little bit weird. But the heading font seems to work really well. So if we change it to something like this, we'd have to save, and I don't want to do that right now. So that's cool. And this is an update that I've been waiting for because it's looking like there might actually be a way to build really good websites with Divi sooner than later. So I'm going to add this here, and I'm going to show another thing that's really cool. I think they actually fixed the buttons. So let's go to spacing medium because that's what I've been using. Cool. And then now if we go to module settings, we have our buttons. And so I have two button classes. Let's go to primary button, and it'll bring the primary button that I already created. And when we hover it, voila, it does not break. And that is exactly what I wanted to see. I do wish that it didn't set any style. It does do that in the builder, but I'm sure it doesn't do it outside of the builder. So if we go here, we zoom in really close. It does have its like little effect. I wish it just didn't do anything because I didn't set anything on it. But this is really looking like it's going to be really great. And so I want to go to a little page that I was playing around with. It's my home page, and kind of wanted to show uh, the next step, like where can elegant themes go from here to basically unify this. So this is something I was building with Cadence, and I was seriously considering moving over to Cadence for now until they went ahead and fixed up the features. But one thing that I realized about Cadence is that it actually just kind of had less features. So like there's no classes used at all in Cadence. Like if I have this section right here, I'd have to change these three individually. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, if I don't have to. But what's going to happen here is the limitation on Divi is that you can't really build something like this right now, right? So if we go back over, we can use a blurb, but the blurb just isn't what I'm trying to do. But what's, coming not this week, but next week is that we're going to be able to use our layers, and we're going to have nested rows. So if we go here to our row layouts, we see that we have a row, and these rows have 3 columns. But starting next week, it's going to be, I guess, it's going to be a row, and then they're going to be 3 separate rows. And these 3 separate rows is going to mean that you can build more advanced things. So you'll be able to build something like this. So in Divi language, this will be a row, and this row will have 3 items in it, and they're going to align from top to bottom. Soon we'll have Flexbox, so we'll be able to manipulate it even more. And then we can save this row right here of performance. We'll be able to save it as a global preset. So right now there's just no way to do that. But if we say row settings, we're going to be able to select a preset. We're going to save it as a preset, and then we're going to be able to use that preset 3 times. So we'll go boom, boom, boom. And so when we edit a preset, we'll be able to basically change the styles up. One thing that is going to be, I guess, a little bit weird is that I think the way presets work in Divi isn't really like a true component. So I'm not sure if the information on the inside also changes with the preset itself. That's something that actually I can just test right now. So we can go here, we can say this button. And so if we duplicate it, and we can say that button, and let's say we want it to be secondary BTN. Okay, so that actually works then. I thought it was gonna change this button to that button, but it actually doesn't. So that's a good thing to see, and I'll have to keep testing. But I think Divi is almost ready for me to consider using on production sites. I've also thought about bricks, admittedly, but my only concern with bricks is that the companies that I work with, they're usually smaller scale companies, and so I don't want to give them anything to their detriment, and that's my biggest fear with that. But anyways, Elegant Themes is doing a great job. Um, this is looking really good. I must admit, I went through a little phase where I was like, I think I'm just gonna switch to bricks, but just after realizing the people that I work with and how non-technical they are, and how non I guess bricks isn't as I guess the word for it would be used yet. Like it's broken into the scene and it's caused a lot of commotion and it's forcing these other page builders to catch up, but it's also just still very new. And there's not a lot of developers yet on those platform on bricks. And that just means it's going to be a higher cost for the clients that I work with. Like, let's say I get hit by a bus or something, and they have this website with bricks that's using components and advanced logic and all these things. It's going to be expensive for them to maintain, and that's why I like Divi. A lot of people use it, and now we're getting features that is going to make it pretty viable. And Flexbox is going to be the last thing that I feel like I really need to kind of say, okay, it's pretty much ready. And when it does do Flexbox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild this site here that I built with Cadence. I didn't even finish it with Cadence, but I'm going to rebuild this site. I'll probably do it on a live stream or something like that. And we're going to go in, we're going to rebuild this, and we're going to show like, boom, we can build sites with Divi. They're going to be scalable because, all of these things are going to be, classes. So like, boom, this is going to be a class. This is going to be like a text size. These are going to be Divi's versions of components, which are just global presets. This is just going to be, I guess, a global preset. So we're going to only have to build this once. We'll use it 4 times on the website. This, we'll build it once, use it multiple times on the website. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. This is just the next step for what they need to do. And I'll be waiting for that update. So if we go over to YouTube, they actually did respond to my comment, which I actually do appreciate. And what they responded with, oh, don't crash on me, YouTube. So let's go to their YouTube channel because they announced something for this week, which is actually quite exciting that we're finally getting it. We're getting it a lot earlier than I thought we were going to be getting it. So
I'm excited to introduce design.
It shouldn't play by default. So I said, as soon as Flexbox comes out, I'll start using Divi for real projects again. And they actually responded. They said, we're already working on it. Flexbox sneak peek is coming next week. Stay tuned. So we're getting Flexbox this week. We'll get the sneak peek this week. So if we look at their track record for how they have been releasing these features, it's been every single Thursday. So what they've been doing is one Thursday is introducing, another Thursday is sneak peek, introducing, sneak peek. And right now, so we did introducing, sneak peek, we have introducing, sneak peek, we got it introducing last week. So this week we'll get a sneak peek. And it's going to be the sneak peek for Flexbox. So after this next week, we'll get another. Let me actually pull up the calendar here, so we can see when it's going to be released. So we have this week. We'll get the Flexbox introduction. So they'll showcase Flexbox. Next week we'll get the nested rows. So we'll go ahead and we'll test that when it comes out. The week after that, we'll get another introducing video, or a sneak peek video. Sorry, on the 24th, we'll get another sneak peek video. So I'm not sure what they will sneak peek. Maybe it'll be like a query logic or some kind of looping logic, something. And then the 1st of May, I think will be the first day that we get Flexbox. And this is going to be when I actually start using Divi for production sites. So I think a month from now, we'll have Divi available. Well, at least for me, I'll be ready to go in and say, okay, I can actually start building websites with Divi. And I'll probably create some child themes and just mess around. And yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm really excited for it. And I think that's pretty much it. I made this video really long, but um, yeah, Divi is getting really good, and I think I think it'll be ready to, ready to go, ready to roll for at least very simple projects in the next month. So that's pretty much it. And, this week when they update, I'll go ahead and make another video.